On today's episode of Self-Love Ignited, we are talking with Rebecca Hall. Rebecca is a phenomenal health and wellness coach based in Melbourne who transitioned from being a personal trainer to a coach because she wanted to work with people and help them with every aspect of their health and well-being. Rebecca shares with us today her struggle with seasonal affective disorder, anxiety, a spiraling body image besides being quite fit and lean as a trainer, and her unique view on the mindset of body image. Welcome to Self-Love Ignited. My name is Katie Allen. I'm a certified health and life coach, and we are here to talk all things self-love, self-acceptance, body image, health, and total well-being. You are going to hear from me, plus you'll hear the stories of other women who have transformed this already. They have walked this path, and they have really learned how to love and embrace all parts of themselves. We are here to help you be inspired, motivated, and to help you really transform your relationship with yourself to be a loving and positive force each and every day. This is so important so that you can really reach your big dreams, feel at home in your skin, be healthy on your terms, and live a big life. What are you waiting for? Let's get to it. Rebecca, welcome to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be a guest and to have questions sort of asked of me instead of just having to do all of the talking of my own agenda.
It's nice to switch it around, I think, from time to time, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So why don't we just get started? Why don't you just take a moment and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and who you are and where you are in the world.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So I am the owner of a business called The Wellness Hall, and I am a health and wellness coach. I've kind of morphed into health and wellness coaching from personal training. I'm originally from the UK and moved over here nearly 8 years ago now. I had the travel bug when I was younger, and I always knew I wanted to help people. So the travel bug and sort of going back home and all, a lot, I kind of needed a profession that I could pick up and take around the world. So personal training seemed in line with my degree, and also helping people with the idea of going into counselling at some point, because I did a lot of volunteer work with Childline back in the UK. And so, yes, I have been personal training for nearly 10 years now, and for the last 2, since I've been living in Melbourne, I have sort of come away from the personal training a little bit and working out of gyms, and built the Wellness Hall and doing a lot more coaching, because to me just the exercise wasn't enough to talk to people about anymore. And I found that in my personal training sessions I was talking about the whole person, not just about exercise. It was all about food and your mental well-being. So when I got my permanent residency, I thought, why not take the leap and go out on my own and really just give this a go, because this is my passion, and have not looked back since. I love my job. It's hard working for yourself, or being an entrepreneur and running a business. But it's the stresses that I am willing to take and happy to have on my shoulders, because I love it.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this podcast is, as you know, all about self-love and really telling the stories of women like you who have come from a place of, not liking part of themselves, not accepting themselves, not loving themselves, to really embracing sort of all parts of who they are. So why don't we just start at the beginning? I really want to invite you to share your story. So tell us a little about the challenges that you faced when it came to your relationship with yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So I think moving overseas, moving to a new country, you have to start again to a certain extent with building relationships with others, and then that also then makes you dig deeper into yourself and how you view yourself and how others view you. And also then I started work in a gym and managing a gym and managing people, and yeah, it really changes your perspective and how you think every interaction with someone. I found that I was over analyzing a lot, and I became quite anxious about the person that I was showing up as every day, and then with a relationship breakdown, and then actually moving into being a business owner. So, and also in the same sort of time moving into an apartment by myself, I then became a little bit more isolated, a lot more conscious that I was by myself, both in the work that I was doing, in my living arrangements, and also not with a partner. And a few of my really close friends sort of at the same time were going through a lot of stuff. And so I felt physically alone and quite emotionally alone, probably it was this time last year. And as we just talked about, Katie, in Melbourne, it is winter here, and that's a pretty rubbish time to be feeling really quite low. And yeah, I then, as a personal trainer, I'm quite fit normally. No, I am fit and healthy, and I look fit, but it was kind of a downward spiral of not being emotionally well, and then sort of eating my feelings, and then that downward spiral of not liking the way I looked, then assuming everyone around me didn't want me in their life. And I think really it was a case of not feeling important to anyone, and the people that I was important to were not even on the same continent. So I felt very isolated and alone and down on myself. And yeah, it took a lot of it was a May, June, July last year. They were very dark days. I mean, I pride myself now on springing out of bed at 4:45 in the morning every day, even on a Sunday, really. It's a bit crazy, but yeah, back a year ago it was a struggle to get up, and some days, even though I was working for myself by then, I was taking sick days, and they were mental health days, because everything came to a head. I mean, it had been building, I would say building since the time I landed in Australia. The relationship I had, how that broke down, abandonment issues there, and then just trying to keep building new friendships and relationships, because when I got here I had nothing, and it just over time it took its toll on me. And although I did have and still do have great relationships, it was a time in my life last year that I felt that I hadn't got anything, and I was still a very new business owner, and I was still grappling with that. And so yeah, we just came to a head last year, and it got very dark for a while. Yeah, literally, especially in Melbourne. Yeah. I keep saying that because there's a string to that of what got me out of it as well. So that's why I keep talking about Melbourne being dark and cold. Yeah. Well, yeah, and like we were talking about before we started recording, today it's kind of fitting because today it is really cold. It is really cold, yes. It was 6 degrees when I started work, and although the sun has been out, it's very biting. So yeah. So it sounds like the move for you, it sounds like the move was sort of the beginning of the spiral. Is that right? I would say so. The move and the relationship that I moved for, yes. Okay. I mean, now that I'm in a really good place in life, I can see that although the relationship didn't work out, and although he caused a lot of heartache and upset, and my mum doesn't like him because I moved to Australia for him and it didn't work out. But go mum. He taught me so much about life and opened up a completely new avenue in my brain, and different experiences and a way of life that I never knew. I had a really great life back in the UK, had great friends, have a great, fantastic relationship with my family, but I still don't regret the move, and I'm still here even though it was pretty dark last year and I made the decision to go home, but I haven't since backtracked on that decision. But yeah, there was a lot of anxiety, I think I was stripped of most of my self-confidence, and that's not just his fault. I mean, but yeah, it was definitely the catalyst to me now being the best version of myself, which is what I think I am. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I had to, the move and then going through all of that, and last year hitting rock bottom, it was definitely 8 years ago, I suppose.
Wow. Yeah. So the fact that it was only a year ago that you were at that rock bottom, that you were like struggling to get out of bed, taking mental health days, like really sort of in that dark place.
Yeah.
What did you actually do to start taking steps to become your best self?
The thing that I did initially was I looked at what I was doing and what my business model was and what I was talking to other people about, and I really took hold of coaching myself. And in that, I got myself out walking every day, and I got my phone app out and tracked my steps, and I was doing at least 5k, so over 10,000 steps a day. And I remember a couple of years before, and so last year I had remembered that 3 years previously, when I suffered a little bit with anxiety, not as bad as last year, but I knew that the routine of walking, of just doing something every day, going out and walking, really helped my mental well-being. Mm-hmm. Just getting up, getting out, getting into fresh air, nature, listening to music, listening to podcasts, taking my mind off of things. I sort of remembered that and thought, well, that is absolutely what I would tell someone else to do. So I started walking, and that helped with losing a bit of the weight that I had put on. And I also started tracking my calories in MyFitnessPal, and I'm not saying that that's going to help everyone. It was just the way that my mind works, and for the work that I do, because I still do a lot of personal training, and I still pride myself on being fit and looking fairly strong. That really, it created a shift in me. It gave me something else to focus on, as opposed to, oh, my phone's not ringing, no one wants to hang out with me. To taking charge and going for walks, and again being okay about being by myself and enjoying the time I had by myself. I mean, I must have listened to Ed Sheeran's songs on repeat for about 4 weeks. You know how you just get one, it wasn't just one album, it was just Spotify, this is Ed Sheeran, and it just went, and I put it on shuffle, and it just went and went and went for about an hour every day. I don't even know how I don't bore myself, but I still do that with different artists. But so that's what I did, and that all started, I would say, at the beginning of October. Mm-hmm. And so the thread of being in Melbourne and how things also changed was daylight savings happens in October. So everything became a little brighter, and the days became longer, and summer was coming, and I was going home for Christmas, which, yes, it's cold, but it's Christmas and I get to see the fam. So I also did make the decision to go home. So that made me feel lighter in terms of I'm just going home to my people, to people that I am really important to. So that was a shift as well. But then when I went back at Christmas, by that time I was in such a good place and I'd built such a good business here by then. But again, I didn't want to be in London where the days are really short and cold and grey. So I kind of recognised that in myself, that and I know this is, a lot of people have this, and I've definitely done a webinar on it. I'm definitely that person that suffers from SAD, seasonal affective disorder. As I said, the anxiety and the self-questioning and loathing definitely happened when I first got here, and it was a very slow burn and build to what I got to last year. But my mood is always a little bit lower in winter, and I've recognised that. And so this year has been a lot of strategies in place to stop that, and that comes with being very grateful for the sunny days that we have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely, I'm definitely always grateful for a sunny day. I will always put it on my Instagram. I will always say to at least 3 people in a day, how good is today? Because I need to smile and I need to be grateful for those days, because we do have bluebird days here. It's just sometimes it's very cold.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sorry, I just babbled a little bit then, but
no, that's okay. But I just want to, there's a few things that you touched on that I feel like are really important. So number 1, gratitude. Like gratitude for literally like having, you and I are both drinking tea right now. Gratitude for a really good cup of tea. Gratitude for like a really good Spotify playlist. How good is that? Gratitude for a sunny day.
and I could say, and I could write that down for 3 days consecutively, and I could also write down a great cup of coffee that I'm drinking right now, because I don't feel like it has to. And I think, and I know you're probably going to ask me this question, so I'll just drop it in now, that how do I practice self-love or self-care daily? And that is my gratitudes are definitely what I do daily. Being grateful has definitely come up a lot more in Melbourne from the Resilience Project, and Hugh van den Kruijnberg, he talks about it, and he talks about doing it every night before you go to bed. That doesn't work for me. I have to start the day off positive as opposed to wind down positively. So yeah, and it's a morning ritual, as I said, with the walking and keeping that mental well-being in a routine. That's definitely what I do now. I get up, I flick the kettle on, I brew a cup of coffee. I now have 5 minutes of quiet time when my coffee's brewing, and then when I'm drinking my coffee, I write down. And it's not just 3 things that I'm grateful for normally. It's a bit more than that, but I can stop at 3, and they will literally be a chat with Dad yesterday, or a chat with so and so, or the blue sky, or an amazing sunset, or the fact that I had leftovers for lunch and dinner and didn't have to cook. Like something's really small, but every day without fail.
So when you were in this place, again, if we just go back to last year, when you were in that dark place, and you started walking, and you created this almost like this ritual for yourself, where you just sort of decided, I have to get up and walk. I want to, do my 10,000 steps. Like you almost created those benchmarks for yourself.
Yes.
Was that the inner coach in you coaching yourself? Have you always had that sort of discipline, or like where did that come from?
That's a very good question that my mum asks quite a lot as well. I would like to tell you that it's the inner coach. Yes, I suppose in the last 8-9 years, yes, getting into as a personal trainer, I think the discipline is now a learned behaviour, and because I know that discipline and consistency and having a benchmark, you can get results. It's easier for me to to put those things in place and stick to them. I also think that the younger version of me, you could just say I'm quite stubborn, and so it also comes down to not being defeated by this.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Yeah.
I definitely still coach. I definitely know that I coach myself now. I take myself out of myself and then I coach myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that also, and I also do it the other way now. I'm sure you're going to ask me this. How do I keep in this? How do I vibrate at this level now, as opposed to sort of falling back into a less, like a more negative part of me, like last year? And I definitely put my friends on my shoulder and talk to myself how my friends would talk to me.
Yeah.
And give myself the advice that everybody else in the world would give me. Because, and I actually had to do this the other day for a Facebook Live bio, and the lady said, write about yourself in the third person, how your best friend would. And I even used my best friend's language, which wouldn't have been mine. So, and I think that's such good advice. And I know there's stuff over social media all about this reframe from your own perspective into somebody else's. And for me, because my self-loathing as well was around, oh, my friends don't care, I'm unimportant, it's actually a double reinforcement of, no, I have people that love me, and this is what they think of me, this is how they think of me, and you're just being a bit negative today, and you need to think about X, Y, and Z and shift that framework for yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I know we talked about different questions, and I know you said it would flow, and I definitely think that I've merged quite a few of them. Sorry.
No, you're perfect. You're perfect.
Okay.
It's fine. No, it's awesome. It's exactly as it's meant to be. That's good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So this sort of journey that you've been on this last year, going from that sort of dark place, a lot of anxiety, like depression, self-loathing, to where you are now, would you say that this has been like a journey of self-love or self-discovery? Like, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I really like that question, and I think I'm not there with the word for me, self-love, but I also think that's a scarring from knowing so many narcissists and that whole like love yourself type thing in my head. But I definitely practice self-care every day and also self-development. I am now definitely a lifelong learner with a growth mindset and very self-aware and very reflective of most interactions. I mean, I'm a highly empathetic, compassionate person, which is why I've come into the wellness sphere. But that also means that my feelings are always on high alert, and I know I can take things the wrong way, and I know I overanalyze and I overthink most situations. And so I've had to teach myself to not do that, or not go straight to the negatives, but also to be aware of my own actions, behaviors, and thought, and sort of what I say to people, and why I might get the reactions or the situations might end up how they are. So I'm definitely still on a journey, and definitely self-development is massive for me, but self-care is as well. So I can now check myself when I'm being, I mean, we're all irrational and we're allowed to be irrational, but when I'm spiraling, I can now check myself and just pull myself out of that and go, okay, hang on, this is because of X, Y, and Z. And you either need to do A, B, and C or whatever. But that's where the gratitudes come in as well. And it's nice to have those when it's surrounding other people, because that's a reinforcement that I'm loved and I have these connections and I have my tribe and I have my community, because they're the things that really put me in a downward spiral last year.
Yeah.
So self-love, yes, I don't not like it for myself, and I definitely would talk to my clients about it. But definitely self-care, self-preservation, and personal development is definitely the way I would go.
Yeah. 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 I love that you said that, because it's like, I identify with self-love, but if you had asked me that, 3 or 4 years ago, my answer would probably be quite similar to yours, to be honest. Like I saw it as much more like the expression, self-care, and maybe appreciating yourself, or maybe just kind of being okay with who you are,
Yeah, that's it.
But like from my point of view now, everything that you just said from my current definition is self-love. Like I like to think of it as the trio. It's like having loving thoughts, loving feelings, loving actions. And self-care is the epitome of loving actions. Like, it is really taking care of yourself. The gratitude, that's really checking in with your mindset and what are you focusing on, right? Like so everything that you said, my definition is self-love, but it's totally cool if that doesn't land with you, that's fine.
It might. We might have another chat in a year's time, and I might go, "Hey, Katie, you were right," and you're going to be like, "Of course, I was right."
Obviously. So when you were at that place, and you said, because you are a personal trainer, because being fit is, well, it's kind of part of your job, but it's also part of your brand. It's part of how you, like your identity, really, especially as, in this job, this business you've created for yourself.
Yeah.
When you were in that place where maybe you gained a little bit of weight and not feeling so great, were your body image and self-image, did they ever get merged as one? Like if you felt really crap about your body, did you then automatically feel crap about yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And and then it's a vicious spiral, and one that I'm sure a lot of listeners will relate to, and it's nothing new. It's that whole don't like yourself, sad, lonely, so you sit on the couch and you eat, and you eat your feelings. And I remember sitting with my business coach last year, and she just said to me, just take a moment every time you want to eat that ice cream or biscuits or wine, because they're the three things, sometimes all of them on the couch, that was the vicious cycle. She said, just sit with the feelings. Okay. And I identified that the whole eating was loneliness. That's what it was. So had to make a rule not to eat on the couch and all of this stuff. But because the eating then, it felt like I was failing because I was getting bigger. And it wasn't so much that I looked really big, it was more so that my clothes didn't fit me, and I couldn't switch the overeating off, even though I was a personal trainer and I could run 10K and I could do 10 push-ups. I was strong and stuff like that, but I couldn't switch that mental bit around the food off. And this is part of my job, and so I'm failing in both aspects.
Yep.
And no one likes me.
Well, when you say it like that, I don't see the problem. Right.
So so it just, they definitely merged, and I having so obviously Melbourne's back in lockdown, and I was very determined to keep everyone pepped up and we're not going to spiral out of control and drink every day. And so I was very what's the word? I showed up on Instagram every day for my clients and checked in with them all and gave them pep talks, and that high energy I was running off of, I kind of dropped another 3 kilos and I leaned out even more. And because I had more time, because I was doing more Zoom stuff and not driving everywhere, I had more time to train. And although I felt great and looked great, it didn't ever stop those other negative thoughts coming back. I still had to work really hard on my self-development, which I'm still doing. And so again, it's not something no one's heard ever before, but it doesn't matter how sort of fit, or I don't like using the word skinny or slim or strong that you look, if your brain's not well, it's not going to help. And I never said that out loud because I've never really believed it until the last couple of weeks. I'm probably not so much right now, but 2 months ago, a month ago, I was probably the leanest I've been in 10 years, 12 years. And I still was practicing my gratitude, and I was still working on myself as much as I have been. But there was no self-actualization, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's a physical one, being sort of fit and healthy. It doesn't help with the spiritual and the emotional stuff right at the top. So I'm just if people are listening out there and it's all to do with body image and being sad about that it doesn't help when you drop the kilos. It's got to be the whole thing. You've got to be your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual well-being all has to be in sync for you to be happy and to come out of self-loathing to self-love, self-care, and stuff like that. Yeah. And that just popped into my head. I wasn't even going to say that.
I love it.
I know I keep doing this because I do making a pyramid or triangle with my hands, because I talk a lot about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I break it down: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and into that self-actualization. I know there's a lot more that goes on in his ones, but it's definitely how I work in my framework of well-being. So that's why I keep making a triangle at you.
You're fine. No, but I just want to take a second and just appreciate what you just said, because I think that's a golden nugget. And if for listeners who are maybe not feeling super great in their bodies, maybe they are just thinking, oh, if I just lost 5 kilos, everything would be better and I would be happy and my mindset would be better. And just listen to a personal trainer who literally has been here and is going through this. It's so important. I always like to say, it's not about your body, it's about your mindset about your body.
Yeah. And I would 100% agree with that. 100%. And I don't want to take anything away from feeling fit and healthy and your clothes fitting amazingly, fitting amazingly into your clothes. But as you said, it's not the be all and end all. It's not going to make everything perfect. It might make things easier, the rest of it to be easier. So I'm not saying throw it all out the window. And as a personal trainer and someone who loves movement, I say movement and not exercise, because as a wellness coach, I try to just encourage people to move as opposed to exercise. It's not the only thing that needs to change, or it won't make everything 100% better or 100% right or perfect.
Yeah. It's part of the equation, but it's not.
It's part of the equation. No. Yeah.
Oh, damn! We just hit some gold there. I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah, as I said, I forgot. Didn't even realize I was going to say that. But and I think I only kind of realized that a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think with just on that exercise thing, if people, just a little bit of advice, if I can, around that. With the exercise thing, as I said, mine started with walking. I've got a lot of clients that I coach that are in physical pain, and that's to do with different things. But if you can find something where you can just move, stretch, be kind to yourself. So that could just be a walk around the block and stuff like that. And you can do that. If you can find 10 minutes every day to start, then it's just a little habit that you can build on. And if you're doing nothing right now, anything that you do is better than right now. So it's all about movement. It's not about exercise and slogging your guts out and stuff like that. It's really a case of just moving and maybe setting yourself a benchmark like I did with the 10,000 steps. It doesn't have to be 10,000 steps. It could be 2 push-ups. I mean, if anyone's read Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, he talks about his habit of every time he went to the bathroom, he did 2 push-ups. He now does 80 push-ups a day, but he still only says, every time I go to the bathroom, I'm only going to do 5 push-ups. He usually does 12, which then equates to so many push-ups throughout the day, but it's just a small habit. Just start little.
Yeah.
It builds. It's like trying to add more vegetable or trying to drink more water. Just once, wake up and have a glass of water. And that builds onto more stuff. Have 1 serve of vegetables with a meal that you don't normally have vegetables in.
Yeah.
And it just slowly builds.
Yeah.
I'll stop preaching.
You're good. You're allowed to preach. It's fine. It's fine. So no, but I love that though, because that's really what I want to ask you is how this journey that you are on, how has this impacted your business? How has this impacted your path to entrepreneurship? How has this impacted your work that you do with your clients?
Well, I've just recorded the biggest 3 months in my business in April, May and June, and we are in a pandemic and lockdown. Obviously being a business owner and going out by myself and that whole loneliness side of it impacted everything else, and getting a coach really helped. So she's a business and mindset coach. So I see her twice a week on Zoom, and she just helps me reframe thoughts around the business side of it. Should have seen the day or heard the day that she called me a CEO, and I looked at her and she was like, well, you are. Oh my God, I didn't even think that. Yes, and it's just having someone else come at your situation from a different angle and having someone always in your corner, always showing up for you, even when you don't show up for yourself, and just there slowly guiding, and it's different to personal training because the personal trainer keeps you a little bit more accountable, but a coach is supportive, and I found that because I now do both. But yeah, having my business coach there has really helped solidify me into business owner. And with all of the self-care and continuous self-development, I've created an energy around myself that people just want to be around. I get a lot of reactions from my Instagram stories because they're not always this most serious stuff. It's normally me making myself laugh or telling a joke, but people just like that. And so people relate to it and they listen to me and they want to work with me, and yeah, it's great. It's just an energy now that I give off that people say to me, I just love that you're so quite practical and pragmatic and down to earth, and people relate to that, and so the business is sort of going gangbusters at the moment, which is good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the work that you do with clients, do you work online via Zoom or only with in-person stuff?
No, both. But at the moment, it's obviously a lot of it Zoom. I'm still in the early mornings. There's still quite a lot of PT, and then sort of late morning, early afternoon, and evening. It's Zoom wellness coaching clients. Okay. So it's a bit of both. I do pride myself on, because it's the Wellness Hall and it's not just Rebecca Hall wellness coaching. The Wellness Hall gives it a whole overarching hub of tailored towards that person.
Yep.
So it's just lucky that my last name's Hall, really.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's just it's what that person wants, really, and I think that helps the business grow in the direction it's going as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked about a lot of different sort of tools and practices that you have used on your own journey, right? Like you had everything from like creating that ritual for yourself and the 10,000 steps a day. You've talked a lot about self-care practices, personal development, getting a coach, gratitude, right? Like you have a lot of different things sort of that have gone into this journey for you.
Yeah.
If there was only one, if I forced you to pick only one practice or exercise or something that listeners could do to implement, what would that one thing be, do you think?
Well, because I am also a coach as well, and I know the barriers that people put in place of themselves, and I think there's a lot of new science coming out about this. I think it would be my 3 gratitudes in the morning, because it, as I said about losing the weight and it not making everything okay, I think it really starts with mindset. And I think that being grateful for things is really the catalyst to having a more positive mindset.
Yeah.
Would you say? Yeah. Are you glad I said that one?
Yeah.
As the wellness coach.
Choose the wrong one. Choose the other one.
The other one.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah. And I love it too, because it's so simple. You know,
that's the thing. Yeah. So to say to a full-time working mother of 3, go out and get your 10,000 steps a day. It's just at this stage in where she is, of what she needs to get out of this self-loathing to self-love, it's just not going to work.
Yep.
So I just think 3, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, write down 3 things whenever you can in your day, whenever you need to do it. I mean, I'm definitely a morning person, and as I said, like ritual structure, and I like to start my day out like that. But as I said, there's a lot of science out there to support doing it at night, and also that in turn then helps you to get a better night's sleep. Or if you're in a stressful situation, like at the moment, and the kids are hungry at 1 o'clock and you've got a deadline for work and your husband's on a work call as well, just finding 3 minutes to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It's the power of being grateful is unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So as we wrap up, I'm sad to say we are coming to the end.
I know, yes.
So Rebecca, if listeners want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out more about the work that you do, about the Wellness Hall, which is an awesome name,
thank you.
Where's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
I think the best place in terms of seeing what I'm about a little bit more, I do a lot of Instagram stories and a lot of Instagram TV. So it would probably be my Instagram handle, which is the _wellness hall. _wellness_hall. Because it's, if you like hearing the way I sort of put things, that's definitely where a lot of my content and a lot of my energy goes.
Okay.
Or they can email me at rebecca@thewellnesshall.com. No.au, just someone asked me this morning. Yeah, just .com.
Okay. Perfect. And I'll make sure to put the links to those in the show notes as well, so it's really easy to click on through.
Thank you so much.
All right. It has been absolutely awesome talking to you.
We've been on here for 40 minutes.
I know. I know. And There were so many things that I feel like we could have kept going, but
Yeah, absolutely.
in the interest of, making this bite-size-ish.
What we talked about, absolutely, before we started recording, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. And what we can do is we can always, in 6 months or a year, we just do part 2. And we'll just have
definitely
catch up on your journey and where you are.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here and thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch with Rebecca, as mentioned, Thank you for being here and thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch with Rebecca and find out more about what she does, you can connect with her on her Instagram. Her links are down in the show notes. As well, if you want to be part of the free Simplified Self-Love Facebook community, come on over and join us. The link is there as well. Here is to you loving and embracing all that you are.